to be educated, but I'm so frustrated.
Hey, Mr. Mindset.
Hey, what's up?
What is boogie funk?
Boogie funk? Man, you must have been searching the internet and stuff like that. Yeah, man, boogie funk is that thing that this guy named Mike Jones was doing back in the early 80s. It's that type of music that kind of like very sparse produced. It's got some drum machine type rhythms and things like that. And Mike Jones is a pretty cool cat.
So who is Mike Jones?
Oh,
bruh?
okay, I see. Mike Jones, man, that's Kashif. Y'all know him as Kashif and stuff like that. That dude right there, man, we got a story. Y'all want to hang around and understand what Kashif did and why he was so great. Hang around for a minute and stick around to the bottom, and you'll learn a whole lot about an incredible musician who kind of falsed up the 80s boogie style. Kashif, man, he had a unique and funky sound there. Hey, brothers and sisters, go ahead and get comfortable, because right now we are about to tell a story about a man whose music you've heard at least a couple of times in your life, even if you never knew his name. If you ever listened to 80s funk, R&B, or pop music, if nothing else, you know some of his songs, you know the stars he produced songs for. But you may not know that Kashif was the quiet architect behind the scenes, shaping the sound of an entire decade. And when you really understand how it all came together, you start to hear those records a whole different way. Now, you may know him as just Kashif, but he actually went by Kashif Saleem. And his story begins when he was born as Michael Jones on December 26, 1959, in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, New York. And his beginning, it was not glamorous at all. At just a few months old, his mother was incarcerated for unknown crimes, and his father wasn't present at that time. So he was placed into the New York City foster care system, and from there, he was moved through 8 different homes, 8 different environments, 8 different adjustments, and for a young child, that kind of instability can break a person before they ever get started. But somewhere in the middle of all that, he found something that stayed with him: music. It started with a simple $3 song flute when he was just 7 years old. Nothing fancy, nothing special, but for him it became an escape, and then it became a weapon. Under the guidance of a school music teacher, he began to learn multiple instruments: trumpet, piano, saxophone, even tuba. You could already see something forming there. Now think about this crazy story for a second. By the time he was around 12, he was already performing in Manhattan clubs like the Copacabana and Lloyd Price's Turntable. How? Well, his junior high music teacher and mentor, Robert Wedlaw, had a wife who would sometimes sneak Kashif into the clubs beneath her fur coat, where he would then play alongside grown musicians who had been doing music for years. So while other kids were still trying to figure themselves out, he was already stepping into a professional world. Then came the moment that changed everything. Around 1974, and at just 17 years old, he auditions for the funk band BT Express. Remember those guys? They also had that other monster, Here Comes the Express. And just like that, they tell him to come back the next day with a suitcase. That is not normal. That means they saw something immediately. So he gets on that tour bus and spends the next 2.5 years on the road, learning, watching, absorbing everything. And while BT Express is out there moving records, filling clubs and airwaves, Kashif is right there witnessing how grooves control crowds, how rhythm makes people move without thinking. During that time, he is also being influenced by musicians like Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea, and you can hear it later in the way he approached sound. This was not just a player, this was somebody studying the future. It was also during this period that he was introduced to Islam, and he chose the name Kashif Saleem, meaning discoverer, inventor, and magic maker. That was not just a name, that was a direction. But by 1978, his drive and perfectionism started to clash with the BT Express, and they decided to part ways. Yet, sometimes what looks like a setback is actually a chance for a step up. Immediately after leaving BT Express, he joined Stephanie Mills' band as her keyboardist. By now, disco had collapsed, and R&B is looking for a new identity. Kashif saw it before most people did. And around that time, Evelyn Champagne King had already cooked the dance floors in '77 with that song Shame. But in 1981, Kashif had some new fire for her. Yeah, man, that one right there. He wrote and produced her massive hit, I'm in Love, and then went off with his 1982 classic, Love Come Down.
Baby, you make my love come down.
That was a funky and fun song, man. The HBCU college marching bands were all over that jam back in the day. That was the blueprint, and a record that hit #1 on the R&B dance charts. That was not just a hit, that was also the transition from disco into modern R&B. Around that same time, he produces Love's Coming At Ya and Love Me Right for Melba Moore, helping redefine her sound.
So fine, blow my mind.
He also wrote the 1982 R&B hit So Fine by Howard Johnson, which reached #1 on the Billboard dance charts. So all of this was happening in the early 1980s. And what Kashif was doing musically was different than anything else happening out there. And with proof that his boogie funk style was working, it was time to put that groove into his own solo act.
Held me close then turned away.
Yeah, homies and homettes, you know it.
Turn me out. You know I got to have ya.
Young Bucks, around 1983, up until even today. This is the jam all day long. Man, this was Kashif's time, and he was calling most of it boogie funk, if you ever heard of it. See, he was not just producing records, he was programming a fresh sound, being one of the first in R&B to fully bring drum machines and synthesizers into the front, especially using those percussive bass lines, not as decoration, but as the foundation of the groove, while still keeping that funk intact. All of those synth lines took the place of just having lead guitar, horns, and disco orchestra strings in a song. And Kashif's music had a pristine nature and a sophisticated bounce to it that others hadn't quite caught up to yet. DJs felt it first, and the people felt that shift, buying into this boogie funk. Kashif was cooking, and other artists wanted in. Now here is something that tells you exactly what kind of mind Kashif had. Around 1983, he's sitting in the studio, waiting for George Benson and producer Arif Mardin to arrive to do a recording session for a new song. But when they got there, they realized that Kashif had absolutely nothing already written. Dude had no chords, no lyrics, nothing prepared. They asked him what was up with that, and that's when Kashif simply smiled, pushed a button on a drum machine, and started making stuff up on the spot from scratch. Inside Love, so personal. That is instinct. That is a producer hearing a hit before it exists. Then came The Call, that will connect everything together. By 1984, Clive Davis at Arista Records is working on developing Whitney Houston. They have the voice, but they do not have the right record yet. They had already heard a demo of a special song written by a lady named Lala Cope, you see here, but they were on the fence about it because it lacked the hit potential they were looking for. But they ended up running the song by Kashif.
Because when I first met Whitney, she was singing cabaret songs, and I didn't quite get it. I'm not a cabaret producer. And so it took me a year going back and forth with Clive, him calling me and sort of convincing me that he was right. As it turns out, he was right. I saw Whitney on the Mike Douglas show, and she was singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I don't know why, that day I got a great aha. Oh, this is what I can do with her. The universe just clicked things into place, and all of a sudden, I had that thought.
This dude heard it, reshaped it, built a more commercial sound, and it turned into the song that would introduce Whitney to the world. Yeah, now, that song was You Give Good Love. Released in February 1985, that record becomes her first major R&B hit and first gold single, eventually turning Whitney Houston into a global superstar. And it did not stop there for Kashif. Through the mid-1980s, he was everywhere. He worked with Dionne Warwick on Reservations for Two in '87, bringing classic and modern together. He teamed up with Melissa Morgan on Love Changes. That was a #2 R&B smash, and a duet that's still one of the defining Quiet Storm records of the decade. I almost forgot, this cat even worked with Al Jarreau on the tune Edgartown Groove in '84. Now, besides working with a number of other artists, Kashif had a host of other of his own hits here.
Stoned in love with you. Oh, you got me so. Help yourself to my love. Don't hold back, baby. Don't break your baby's heart. Tell me the condition of your heart. Oh, love me all over, all over. Just smile, really, really nice.
So while Prince was on stage showing out and Babyface was just rising, Kashif was right there too, building the sound they were all moving in. Along the way, he was married at one time and had a daughter. This kept him grounded while it lasted. And while all of this music industry success was happening, awards, recognition, Grammy nominations, Kashif was still carrying memory of the life he evolved from. Because he never forgot what he persevered through. So he invested back into foster care youth, he built programs, mentored young artists, and pushed the importance of education. He even wrote a book called Everything You'd Better Know About the Record Industry in '95, giving artists real knowledge about contracts, royalties, and ownership. And as the industry shifted into New Jack Swing, hip-hop and beyond, his role shifted to less chasing hits, more preserving legacy, documenting the culture, filming interviews, making sure the history of R&B is not lost. He did continue some recording with a few less notable releases, and his final album, Music From My Mind, was released in early 2000. Over his career, and besides many notable awards and accomplishments, Kashif was inducted into the R&B Hall of Fame as a living legend on November 14, 2004. This induction honored his immense contributions as a master of music who pioneered the integration of synthesizer technology and MIDI into R&B production. But then, unfortunately, we reached that moment we all hate to hear happen to great artists who've contributed so much to music. Sadly, on September 25, 2016, Kashif was found alone and unresponsive by a neighbor in his Playa del Rey, California home. The fear was that he had a heart attack, but it was confirmed that he passed away from natural causes. He was 59 at the time, and just like that, one of the architects of modern R&B was gone. Now today, his impact is still here. Every time you hear that clean, synth-driven groove, that plumping bass line, innovation between technology and funk, you are hearing Kashif. Yeah, and I'm telling you that you need to be more familiar with the name Kashif and his work, especially if you want to call yourself a real music head. Not just for the hits, but for the blueprint of sophistication and character.
Hey, yeah, man. I tell you what, that guy right there, man, Mike Jones, Kashif Saleem, some call him the maestro, that Bully fought, was tearing up the 80s, man. He kept that thing right. I just remember back in the day that every time I turned on the radio, I was seeing some of this stuff go on. You ought to be. You guys always appreciate this stuff like that, man. We having fun with this on the Music Mindset channel. Stay tuned for what's coming up next. And I'll see you guys later on.